good news is your dates are here.
What's the bad news?
They're dead.
Oh, you're so cool, Brewster. Everybody's a suspect. Hey, Ted, where the hell's Corkscrew? Don't fuck with the Chuck.
Welcome back to Toe Tag Reviews. I'm Chuck, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite horror comedy movies, Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. Came out in 2010 and directed by Eli Craig. It was shelved for 3 years before it finally got released. Jesse Moss and Shalon Simmons, they both appear in Final Destination 3 together. In the special features, there's a version, which I didn't know about, that had the college kids' perspective, and Tucker and Dale were the murderous villains, which sounds so fucking cool to have two different versions of the movie. Before we get into the review, make sure you have the bell notification on and that you are subscribed. It helps the channel out. So with all that being said, on to the film! The movie actually begins with some found footage style POV shot, kind of like the ending of the 2003 Texas Chainsaw. The reporters are there and they get killed by some guy who's horribly burnt. But let's back it up to 3 days ago. We see some college kids on a trip. They're going to camp and kind of party and have fun. They almost crash their vehicle into a truck. They pull over some rinky-dink gas station and they see the guys that they almost hit, and it turns out it was Tucker and Dale. Dale tries to talk to the ladies, but he just comes off as clunky and just a huge goofball and scares them away.
You guys, going camping?
We see Justin Trudeau, I apologize, Chad, come in and kind of scare him off with some horrible kung fu. Like, look at that shit. Speaking of Chad, Jesse Moss plays the perfect Chad. The popped Aeropostale shirt, the thick white stupid belt, the cocky attitude. He just screams douchebag. He nails it. I'll give him that. He plays the perfect turd of a character. On their way to their vacation home, they get pulled over in a hilarious scene.
He's been striking out with the ladies. I figure a little man time might do him some good.
The sheriff tells him not to go up to Morris Lake because there's nothing but pain and suffering up there. Dun, dun, dun! They get to the house and they love it. They are absolutely stoked to be there. They are clueless about all the scary shit that's up there. All the signs that are pointing to get out. They're completely clueless to it.
Whoever used to live here must have been an archaeologist or something.
Chad decides to tell a Chad story in a stupid Chad voice about the Memorial Day massacre. They find a lake and decide to go skinny dipping. Chad pulls the ultimate Chad move and starts kissing Allison against her will, and it makes her very uncomfortable. But it pisses him off. Dude, you're being a fucking creep. You're being a total douchebag. Allison falls from a small cliff and knocks herself out when she gets spooked by Tucker and Dale fishing. They jump in and save Allison. They take her back to the cabin. The college kids bring up going to the police, but Chad dismisses it because, you know, he's a fucking doucher. But you'll find out why he dismisses that whole idea later on. Allison realizes that there's nothing to fear and that there's a big misunderstanding and that Dale's an actual, like, sweet teddy bear. There's a cute moment between them when they start playing board games and everything.
There's a difference between education and intellect.
Now here's the first VHS rewind moment, and yes, you heard me correctly. There's more than one in this movie. Tucker is cutting into a tree and cuts right into a beehive, and he starts freaking out. He runs around the cabin. He looks just like Leatherface, swinging the chainsaw. It scares all the college kids off. But as he's running, he sees Mitch, and it's so funny because they're like in sync running to each other, and they both look. Mitch just impales himself right into a tree. It's fucking hilarious. Tucker goes back home, and holy shit, look at his face. There's fucking blisters and boils everywhere. I love this movie. Tucker and Dale tell Allison that they're gonna go out and find her friends for her. Their friends are nowhere to be found, so they carve a message into a log. The funniest thing about this movie, in my opinion, is these college kids, they all kill themselves. It's just the wrong place, wrong time. Everything that could go wrong does. The college kids go back to save Allison, and Todd goes to attack Dale, but old fucktard trips over his feet and impales himself into the outhouse hole that they're digging. And here is the second VHS rewind moment. Tucker's at the wood chipper and Mike decides to just swan dive right into the wood chipper head first, and blood and guts are spewing out. It's awesome.
Are you okay?
Chuck shows up with the sheriff and they go to the cabin. The sheriff leans on that old rickety beam that we seen earlier and gets taken out by it. Chuck grabs the sheriff's gun. Dale, being a sweet, innocent, gentle giant, tells him he's got to take the safety off. What does he do? He fucking blows his head off. Chad shows up and takes Dale's dog at gunpoint.
If you kill my dog, I swear to God, I'll get really mad.
Tucker gets caught trying to get the pup back and gets knocked out by Chad. He cuts his fingers off. Like, what a dick move. Allison wakes up and tells Dale that her and her friends misjudged him. You can tell he was really affected by that. He was really bummed out, and rightfully so, man. He finds Tucker and saves him. They head back to the cabin and the college kids are there. They decide to talk it out. You can obviously see where this is going. We learn that chamomile tea affects Chad's asthma. Why not? We learn that Chad's parents were victims of the Memorial Day massacre, and that's why he has such a raw hatred for hillbillies.
Okay.
Chad throws a lantern at Tucker and Dale but misses. The cabin goes up in flames. It explodes and we see him horribly burnt. Are you connecting the dots from earlier? They drive off and Dale crashes the truck. So Chad takes Allison to the old lumber mill. Dale goes to arm up for the final showdown. They fight and Dale gets the upper hand because obviously he's a bigger dude and fucks Chad up. They hide in an office. Allison finds a newspaper that shows the Memorial Day massacre and looks just like Chad. When Chad comes in, they tell him that you're part hillbilly too, and he freaks out. Dale finds a chamomile tea pouch and
Pocket sand. Yeah.
he falls out the window to his death, or so you thought. Dale goes to visit Tucker in the hospital and tells Tucker that he's got a bowling date with Allison, and the movie comes to an end with Dale finally getting the girl. Toe tag score, 5 out of 5. Very few times can I say that the movie's perfect. For this being a horror comedy, a mixture of, blood and guts and humor, it just meshes so well together. The pros, there's a great balance of humor. It's got likable characters, the gore's great, the humor's great, the deaths are fantastic, and it's a good story about friendship and how the underdog can prevail and get the girl. The cons to this movie, Chad. But I hope you liked the review. As always, I'm Chuck. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Until then, see you later.